Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Corn Belt. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, the hazards map from the National Weather Service this morning is highlighted by some high wind advisories, fire weather watches, high wind warnings across the northern and high plains as warm, dry, windy conditions continue across those regions. Then we've got a dense fog advisory across portions of Michigan, Wisconsin, and far northeastern Minnesota this morning. That region right on a warm front here, where we've got temperatures, in the 50s across portions of central Minnesota into southern Wisconsin. We've got 30s on the north side of that warm front. So as we draw warm and humid air up over the top of that warm front, we're seeing it condense now down near the ground level. So that's the reason for the dense fog advisory in that region. As we take a look at the satellite picture, we can pick out our approaching storm system. We've got an area of low pressure swooping in from the northern plains right now. We can go ahead and draw that in approximately right here. A cold front extending south from that. That's going to continue to track off to the southeast, bringing the chance for some strong storms to portions of the Midwest as we head into this afternoon and this evening. So we flip it over to the radar, you can see the precipitation associated with that area of low pressure right now making its way from the Dakotas, across portions of western Minnesota and Iowa, down through Nebraska, and even back in towards northeastern Colorado, seeing some light precipitation associated with that. Elsewhere, we do have some light showers making their way through portions of the eastern Corn Belt down into the Mid-South, across Ohio, into Kentucky, Tennessee, and then on south from there. As we look at the surface map, now here's our area of low pressure. This is the strongest storm system on the map right now, the one that's going to be bringing that chance for strong storms as we head into the afternoon and the evening. This is what it looks like right now. As we head into the evening, about 6 p.m., we're looking for that area of low pressure to be right around the Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin border confluence right there. The highest threat for severe weather is going to be along that cold front from the Ozarks, portions of the southern plains, up to the cold front near the area of low pressure here across eastern Iowa, northern Illinois, and portions of far southern Wisconsin. As we head into tomorrow morning, the area of low pressure continues to slowly move off to the east, taking the rain chances along with it, such that by Thursday morning, that precipitation starting to move out from the eastern Corn Belt here, still seeing some showers across portions of Indiana, Ohio, eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, and then the state of Michigan. And then by Friday, finally seeing that area of low pressure make its way off toward the northeast region, bringing a period of quieter weather across the Corn Belt. As we get to Saturday and then on to Sunday, we'll start to watch this next cold front, this next little frontal boundary that's going to bring another round of cooler temperatures as we head into the first week of May, and then our next chance for precipitation across the middle section of the country. So again, we do have to talk about a severe weather threat over the next couple of days, really focused on this afternoon and evening, looking at a severe weather threat in a corridor from the southern plains into the Midwest. We'll be focused on that threat here across portions of Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, and Wisconsin as we talk about the Corn Belt. So let's talk about that then. Let's talk about the severe weather threat as we head through the afternoon and evening today. Again, here's our area of low pressure. You can see the little storm system, the compact area of cloudiness here, starting to take on that more classic comma shape as that we typically see. That area of low pressure on the north side, the cold front extending south from there. As this moves off toward the south and to the east during the day, you see some clear skies across this corridor right here where you're seeing the city lights shine through. That's the zone we'll be watching for some destabilization, watching that area become warm and humid, unstable as we head into the afternoon and evening hours, and then it's along that cold front we would expect the showers and thunderstorms to ignite as we get into that, the peak heating hours of the afternoon and evening. Over the top of that, as we look at our 500 millibar wind speeds, the mid-levels of the jet stream there, you see those stronger jet stream winds rounding the base of that trough and then pushing into the Midwest across portions of Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. Underneath that, we can look at the low-level jets. So these are the winds at 925 millibars, and we see that strong southerly flow. Again, this is our low-level jet. This is the one that's bringing in the warm and humid air from the Gulf of Mexico. So strong, warm advection, bringing in warm and humid air from the Gulf of Mexico beneath a strong jet stream, a strong jet streak across the Midwest. And then again, that warm and humid air mass, that's going to set the stage for an unstable air mass across the region. This is a look at CAPE, convective available potential energy. This is the fuel that those thunderstorms have to work with. You notice it is highest here across the southern plains where we had that moderate risk for strong storms. Of course, plenty more energy to work with, but we do have plenty of instability here to support several strong storms across Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri during the afternoon and evening. So we can finally flip it over then, look at the high-resolution rapid refresh, the radar reflectivity forecast. So again, this is not exactly how it's going to work out, but we do see some pretty good consistency between our what we call convective allowing models, these models that attempt to simulate the rain and thunderstorm activity. So I've slowly stepped us through the morning hours, watching these rain showers, just continuing with this disturbance through the Dakotas into portions of Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and then western Wisconsin as we get into the midday. This is when we'll be watching this region here out ahead of those showers and storms to destabilize, such that by the time we get to the early to mid-afternoon hours, right around 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon along that cold front, we'll start to see these thunderstorms erupting. So this is what the high-resolution rapid refresh has for 4 p.m. We've got an area of thunderstorms developing now from eastern Iowa into eastern Kansas. We go ahead and step this forward just a couple of hours. We'll take it to 6 p.m. now. You see those storms making their way now into the Ozarks, crossing the border from Iowa into Illinois, maybe even a strong storm possible across far southern Wisconsin. Now it does look like, as we talk about, what kind of severe weather are we looking for across this region, that we're probably talking about damaging winds being the primary threat. Right now, current indications are not that we'll see a line of individual storms here, which would give us the greater threat for tornadoes when we get those discrete, isolated supercells. But instead, when we get a big line of storms like that, that's when we end up with that damaging wind threat along the leading edge of those thunderstorms as they make their way through. And that, again, we're not going to get into the real specifics on the nitty-gritty there. It has to do with the alignment of our front. It has to do with the wind shear and the lowest levels of the atmosphere. But right now, as we talk about the threat for any tornadoes, I think there's a small window right along the warm front here across portions of far eastern Iowa, getting into northwest Illinois, and then maybe just a bit north of the Wisconsin border there. But if we're going to see the threat for maybe a couple of tornadoes, I do think it's highest there. Otherwise, as we talk about that slight risk area, we're probably talking about more in the way of damaging winds as we head into the late afternoon and evening hours. We'll take a little longer range look here with the NAM model. Again, quickly stepping through the morning. Here we are 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is when we should see those storms erupting across northern Missouri into eastern Iowa, down into eastern portions of Kansas. Here we go, 7 p.m. That line of storms making its way across central Illinois down toward the St. Louis area. Squall line extends all the way down to the Red River, the border between Oklahoma and Texas. Here we are, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. The storms are likely weakening at this point across the Midwest, across the eastern Corn Belt, Illinois and Indiana, but maybe a patchy wind gust threat there as we head into the overnight hours. Tomorrow morning, likely just looking at an area of showers, maybe a few embedded thunderstorms from the Great Lakes down toward Indiana into Kentucky and Tennessee. And then as we get into Wednesday afternoon, we will see again a lower risk for some strong storms, probably talking about damaging winds once again across portions of the Mid-South. And then as we get into Wednesday afternoon, we're looking at a cool, dreary, gloomy day across the eastern Corn Belt here, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, just cool, blustery, gloomy conditions as we head through the day Wednesday, and those cooler conditions will even last into the day on Thursday. So here we go, Thursday morning, getting into, I think we can take this out to noon on Thursday. Yes, so 1 p.m. on Thursday, seeing those showers beginning to exit the eastern Corn Belt, but still looking at some cooler, cloudy, rainy conditions across Ohio and eastern portions of Kentucky and Tennessee, even as we get into the day on Thursday. So slow going storm system here from west to east. Total precipitation between now and Friday night. So this will cover that storm system here. And where you see the orange and the red shading, that's where we're talking about 1 to 2 inches of precipitation from the Ozarks all the way into the Great Lakes here. So a large area expected to see at least an inch or so of precipitation as we talk about the next 4 days or so. Where are we going to be mostly dry? Again, back toward the northwest, where we look at a lot of warm, windy conditions here across the northern plains. This is where things will be largely on the dry side over the next 4 days. Now, as we look at the jet stream, again, here's the little trough making its way through right now. This is the one that brings the severe weather threat to this region as we head into the afternoon and to the evening, and we'll bring in the cooler conditions on the back side for Wednesday and Thursday across this region as you see that trough really dig in as we get into the next 48 hours. Now, as we take it beyond that, getting into the weekend, we'll see a ridge expanding into the Corn Belt, and that's going to allow some warmer conditions across much of the Corn Belt. Expanding back into the eastern Corn Belt, we'll once again return to the 70s across portions of Illinois and Indiana by Saturday. But if I take this even further into next week, we do see the suggestion that maybe we're developing a trough across this region, which would allow much cooler conditions to settle into a big chunk of the Corn Belt as we get into next week. So let's look at the European model, taking it even just a bit further. We've covered in depth the slow-moving storm system here over the next couple of days, bringing that chance for strong storms this afternoon and evening across the mid-Mississippi Valley. Here we go into Wednesday morning now. Wednesday afternoon. At this point, we're looking for that strong storm threat to be off to the south. On the backside of this storm system, we're looking at, we'll take the orange off there and draw a more appropriate blue. We're talking about cool, cloudy, rainy, blustery, really just yucky conditions across a big chunk of the eastern Corn Belt Wednesday and Thursday. We'll take this into the weekend now. This is when we're looking for much warmer conditions, quiet conditions across the Corn Belt as we get into Friday and Saturday. And then by Sunday, we could see the chance for another area of low pressure to slowly make its way off to the south, bringing at least light rain chances back to the central U.S. So total precipitation over the next 4 days, taking it through Friday night. If we go ahead and add in the next several days on what could follow here as we get into Tuesday, it looks pretty similar. We can toggle back and forth. You see the opportunity for some additional precipitation across this region, and then we do bring in maybe a half an inch to maybe a local inch or so across the northern plains as we get into the end of the weekend into early next week. So over the next 7 days, precipitation in terms of a departure from normal. Again, keeping things a bit on the weather side as you look generally along and east of this line here across much of the eastern Corn Belt into the mid-south. That's where we'll be a bit on the wetter side over the next 7 days. Dry weather conditions, or drier than average expected here across the southern plains into the central plains, portions of Iowa, Minnesota, and then near average to slightly wetter than average conditions as we get into the back half of the weekend into early next week across the Dakotas. Now, temperatures, again, going to be going for a bit of a roller coaster ride across the east as we talk about the high plains holding on to these warmer conditions, warmer and windy conditions, where you have the fire weather risk across that region. The back half of the week here, Wednesday and Thursday, cooler, but we do return to near average or warmer than average conditions as we head into the weekend. But as I mentioned, as we get into next week, May 5th, 6th, and 7th, perhaps looking at some more cooler air spilling into the Corn Belt. We'll have to talk about that more as we get into the end of this week. So just to wrap this up, looking at our high temperatures over the next several days, very close to average or warmer than average across a big chunk of the Corn Belt today, with the cooler pockets here across portions of the north and to the east. As we look at highs tomorrow, again, very just yucky is the word that I would use to describe conditions across that region there. Temperatures in the 50s, cloudy, cool, blustery with some rain showers at times. Cooler weather is slow to move off to the east as we get into Thursday, still looking much cooler across the east, slowly starting to moderate as we head into Friday, and then by Saturday, warmer than average conditions across just about the entire Corn Belt. Your overnight lows the next several days, waking up tomorrow to 40s and 50s across much of the Corn Belt, a little bit cooler for the morning on Thursday and Friday, and then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, once again returning to warmer conditions across a big chunk of the Corn Belt. Have a wonderful day.